Pravljenje građevina koje će lebdeti u vazduhu nije nova ideja. Ona je dugo prisutna u mašti i u projektima starih arhitekata. Recimo ruskih konstruktivista s početka Sovjetske države, ali i danas kada je pre 2 godine za jednu sličnu ideju naš mladi arhitekta koji živi u Parizu, Aleksandar Janković, dobio nagradu za arhitekturu Francuske akademije umetnosti za projekat nazvan Oblaci. Međutim, nešto što će biti najbliže ostvarenju sna o građevinama iznad zemlje je ono što će biti izgrađeno u novobeogradskom Bloku 39. Na međunarodnom konkursu za novi Centar za promociju nauke pobedio je austrijski profesor arhitekture Wolfgang Tschapeller. Taj autor arhitekture koja će lebdeti nad Novim Beogradom i koja će pored mosta na Adi postati još jedan znak modernog Beograda je u intervju za gradologiju pre svega želeo da kaže nešto o važnosti konkursa.
I think that competitions in architecture are a very, very important tool, somehow a research tool, a collective research tool for a society where a goal is formulated and a couple of experts or planners or architects bring solutions into a discussion, and out of those solutions, out of that pool of solutions, a client, somebody in charge for a building task, is able to select, in fact, the best, let's say, or the most controversial, or the most interesting, or the most visionary, let's say, solution. And I think it is very good because it gives the project a fair chance to be developed independently from persons and independently before client and architect meet. So that is a general opinion. The Center for Promotion of Science, the competition for it, was for us an extremely important and interesting competition. We didn't know about it. A friend told us, have a look at it. This sounds interesting. We looked at it, and the situation, of course, is very interesting because it's happening within one of the very few modern cities of modern architecture, I would say, in Europe, and New Belgrade certainly is that. And as such, it's quite interesting and important. And Block 39 is even more important because it's formulated as a block of public interest. And that is the great thing about it, that all at once it's not commercial interest anymore, but it's really an issue of education. It's a meeting place. Block 39 is going to be a meeting place of arts and sciences, and we have to see that. Arts and sciences together on one side, all of it public, all of it accessible for public, and arts usually do have what sciences don't have, and sciences don't have what arts have. So there's somehow a mutual helping, and I think as such the Block 39 and the Center for Promotion of Sciences, which has to bridge then again between science and university and arts to the public, to the broad and wide public, is a fantastic concept. Now, we are not even talking about architecture. I would say it's great that a government, that public interest, is positioning itself within the development of New Belgrade and the development of a city, and is positioning a strong collective interest, a collective of the education of the people of a state in there.
Profesora Čapelera smo zamolili da jednostavnim rečima objasni kako će ta zgrada zapravo izgledati, po čemu je tako posebna, zašto izgleda tako izazovno i u kojoj meri je zaista moguće da se takva građevina sa naizgled komplikovanom konstrukcijom izvede.
One of the most important questions for us is how would one make, what does a building figuration qualified to be a center for promotion of science? How would one make that? And we tried to come back to some easy understandable image, or some easy understandable myths, I would almost say. It's really rather a myth, that of a flying building, a building which does not touch the ground but is elevated from the ground and seems to be like a cloud or is up in the air. Now, if we talk about science, we somehow know the rules of gravity, and this project tries to defy the rules of gravity. So the flying situation, the detached from the ground situation, the situation of a cloud is quite important. Also, a building which does not relate to the ground anymore but is independent from it is quite important. One enters the building from below, not frontal. And what it does in addition is it allows somehow an old idea or one of the integral ideas of the making of the New Belgrade as a modern city, which provides green space, which provides open space, and which provides somehow a large amount of public, non-private space. Somehow that center is trying to continue that in detaching itself from the ground, in giving the ground free to everybody. That is one of the main ideas here. There's a difference between complicated and complex, but I would say in the end our building is very, very simple. The idea of it is a very simple one, of lifting a volume from the ground and all the consequences which are, let's say, which are generative come then out of that assumption. In terms of structure, now we are talking about structural engineering. I think it's not a very complicated building, and I have to say that most of the people who saw it, who saw the models for it, were extremely surprised, because the first reaction was very often, oh, this is a fully rational structure. Nobody expected that. And it's interesting that through certain, let's say, figurations of points of supports of those 4 tripod supports, there is a spatial complexity built up which is not immediately readable as a rational structure, but in the end it is. It's a very rational structure, I would say, and it is, and the engineering task, a challenge, I would say, like a bridge is, like every good structure is a challenge in the end. The whole building is resting on 4 tripod columns. Those 4 tripod columns carry a steel structure which is on top of it. In that steel structure, which has about a size of 70 by 70 meter, the main space, the exhibition space or the action space for the Center for Promotion of Science is contained. And on top of that, then planetarium and conference center, laboratories and restaurants, and a large open area are contained. This is quite important, that the building is not only elevated from the ground, on its top it also carries ground. That means that there is a terrace of a considerable size on top of it, and we are going to use the given circulation like escape stairs in a way that theoretically you could at any given time in the day enter that terrace from which you could overlook the New Belgrade roofs. The terrace is going to be slightly above the roofs of New Belgrade. So it's going to be a public space as well, independent from the opening hours of the Center for Promotion of Science. And we have to see that together with the fact that this is going to be a campus for thousands of students, and they can use that space, of course. I think that architecture always encompasses concepts, encompasses the making of it, the materialization of it. In some architects' work, basically all the quality unfolds only with it being materialized, material under light, under the conditions of the surrounding might be very important. Other architectures already live in the concept fully. So in making the Center for the project for the Center for Promotion of Science, we did not doubt that it's going to be made. And for me, it's almost with every project. So from the first line on, one is doing the first thought, one is thinking about materials, and it's a strong belief, which we somehow are almost conditioned to as architects. And also with the Center, I'm very sure that it is going to be a great project, because wherever we come, we are permanently asked how that project is doing, and it seems to affect a lot of people.
Na međunarodni konkurs za Blok 39 je pristigao neočekivano veliki broj radova, više od 230 radova iz 47 zemalja. Rezultati su objavljeni polovinom decembra na kraju 2010. godine, a Wolfgang Tschapeller, pobednik konkursa, je tek na nedavnoj izložbi upoznat sa svojom tadašnjom konkurencijom.
I was able to see almost all the projects in an exhibition at the Fortress of Belgrade, which was opened a few weeks ago, and the first time I could in fact see the other competition entries fully. And it's always interesting to see projects which seem to look quite different, but in the end are not. We share, of course, very, very common ideas together with the second prize project. That of the elevated roof is also that of the elevated building volume in our project. What is surprising for me that the general level of the competition's entries really is very high. And also the engagement of the jury is extremely. There is no competition. I never saw a competition where a jury, including a minister, is staying together for one whole week to discuss competition entries, and I think that's just great. It really also documents the public, the interest of government or of people in government in architecture and in the development of a city.
Profesor Čapeler govori o sadašnjim pregovorima i saradnji sa gradskom upravom u Beogradu, urbanistima i svim drugim stručnjacima koji rade na ostvarenju projekta i sa onima koji će u bliskoj budućnosti koristiti Centar za promociju nauke.
There's of course, there has to be a very strong dialogue between people who are going to use the building and people who are going in the end also to make it live, because the people who are going to use it, they are going to make that building live, and they also define the profile of the building. That is very important, because an architecture has, yes, it has a physical existence, but then there is also a fact that people who use that building can fill it with a spirit which makes the architectural project even more important. And that I already see, given with the fact that we have a campus for the education of people. Quite often I'm trying to explain that I understand the building not as an individual product, but in the end it's always a collective product. It really is an overlap of many biographies, one almost could say. It's certainly the biography of a site, of a place, of that of a client, of a technical agenda, and that of architects designing and developing it, then of the program. All those issues are superimposed, and architects are one part of it. And that is in fact a process I'm very interested in, that we somehow start to stimulate each other, and the clients or the users come in with ideas how it could develop, how spaces could be developed, because there is going to be, in a planning process, and it is already going on, a mutual stimulation. Like architecture spaces are able to stimulate the program, and the program is also in turn able to stimulate architecture as well. So the cooperation with the client, I think, is extremely important. In the making of such a project, I would say it's never ever, it's only an architect's project. It really is a piece of a city, and as such it is the responsibility of politicians, the responsibility of every inhabitant of the city, and especially also of media, and whoever is concerned with the collectiveness of a city to somehow to contribute to the making of such a project. And I would say architectural projects do need public support, and they do need the collective support, and that is for the Center for Promotion of Science really important. It has the possibility to be an identification point, and I think it would be great and it would be really helpful if we had the most possible support from all the people in Belgrade and all the acting people in Belgrade.
23. jun je rok kada treba da stignu rešenje za vizualni identitet, grafičko rešenje, internet rešenje i ime našeg velikog Centra za promociju nauke. O značaju ovog dela posla Čapeler kaže:
I think the competition for the branding and for the graphic appearance and for the naming of the center and for its presence on the internet is already showing us a quite important aspect. The Center for Promotion of Science is not only a building, but it's really a whole volume of contents which come together, and I think that is the most important to understand, that the building is one aspect of a much larger idea which basically feeds back to an attempt where one tries to make technology and science to a natural resource or to a resource from which we can really live from, and I think that is a great moment. The competition for the branding somehow supports that, because the Center for Promotion of Science is going to have almost like a ghost identity, like an immaterial shadow in the net, and that is a quite important competition, I would say. Also, to find a right name for it, also to understand that we basically operate in terms of languages now between a national language like Serbian languages and international language which English is going to be. Here much more interesting, even because you have two ways of writing in Serbia, and that also is an extremely interesting challenge for a graphic concept for the center.
Ključnu ulogu u građenju će voditi nedavno osnovana državna institucija Centar za promociju nauke, koja se brine o svim aspektima njegove realizacije. Direktorka Centra je Aleksandra Drecun, koja objašnjava glavne, trenutno aktuelne poslove u vezi sa projektom.
Pripreme za izgradnju Centra za promociju nauke za njegovu novu zgradu su intenzivne, zato što se, pored arhitektonskih, urbanističkih pitanja, neminovno u ovoj situaciji otvaraju i programska pitanja i pitanja edukacije i posetilaca koji će doći u taj centar. Tako da se paralelno na više linija rada odvijaju konsultacije. I za sada možemo da kažemo da su stvarno svi koji su upoznati sa suštinom projekta, mi bi želeli da bude još mnogo više ljudi upoznato, ali oni koji su upoznati vrlo dobronamerni i sjajno reaguju i razumeju kompleksnost jednog objekta u koji treba da godišnje uđe 400.000 ljudi, da vidi neki sadržaj koji će ih inspirisati da zavole nauku ili da saznaju nešto o svetu koji nas okružuje i da se tu osjećaju prijatno. Uz to, ako su mlađi, da nešto nauče, i sve to u jednom novom bloku, u bloku 39 na Novom Beogradu, na kome se sada nalazi samo jedan objekat, što znači da treba da razmišljamo i o nastavku razvoja tog bloka i o zgradama koje se zgrade paralelno i o podzemnim nivoima, s obzirom da se radi o Novom Beogradu. Znači, sve specifičnosti različitih struka moraju da budu razmotrene i svi učesnici u razgovorima treba da budu maksimalno koncentrisani i da gledaju više godina unapred i u stranu i po dubini i u visinu ako treba, pošto je sama zgrada izdignuta, da bi to funkcionisalo perfektno. Ali stvarno mogu da kažem da kogod je postao član tima, a mi članovima tima smatramo i ljude iz urbanizma i iz grada, i iz Republike, iz ministarstva i one koje rade na programu, je dao svoj veliki doprinos prevazilaženju nekih dilema ili situacija u kojima smo se našli, pa ne znam, pojavi se kolektor za kišnicu, svi se pojave da vide kako ćemo to rešiti, i oni koji rade dečiji centar koji se tu nalazi, pošto se sad menja malo struktura i oblik, i ljudi iz gradskih kuća koji nam pomažu da to tehnički prevaziđemo u kasnijoj izgradnji, i naravno arhitekta. Stvarno je sve išlo bez nekih većih tenzija. Rada ima mnogo, svakodnevnog rada koji se vidi i na papirima u samom arhitektonskom projektu i urbanizmu i u drugim materijalima kao što je katalog ili nacrt kataloga budućih eksponata ili opet finansijski plan samog centra. Ali ta interakcija na nečemu što treba da objedini i prezentira mnogo različitih informacija o različitim fenomenima naučnim, da pruži prostor da se održava naučni kongres, ali u isto vreme da i okvire za jednu laboratoriju u kojoj mogu deca od 5 godina da se upoznaju sa biologijom, hemijom ili astronomijom. Sve to navodi na potrebu da se dnevno korektivne mere preduzimaju. Znači, mi znamo odakle smo pošli, a ta situacija je sjajna jer je Ministarstvo nauke ranije, koje je sada Ministarstvo prosvete i nauke, obezbedilo sredstva. Ministar Đelić je sa EIB-om obezbedio liniju kreditnu iz koje se to finansira. Obezbeđen je prostor, postoji mogućnost da se angažuju neki ljudi koji su već radili, da neki novi se uključu u taj projekat. Znači, startna osnova je takva da je stvarno ogromna odgovornost na ljudima koji učestvuju u projektu da rezultat bude fantastičan. I znamo kuda idemo. I što se tiče same zgrade i što se tiče celog projekta Centra koji je osnovan zakonom kao institucija koja postoji mimo zgrade. On i danas radi, organizuje radionice, pomaže fakultetima u promociji nauke i neke druge još brojne aktivnosti ima. Tako da na tom putu, koji može da se povuče kao jedna duž, stalno postoje malo odstupanja i vraćanje na taj tok korektivne mere šta mi moramo da uradimo svakoga dana, meseca, semestra, do toga da arhitektura koja je na papiru pobedila na tom međunarodnom konkursu se stavi u funkciju ostvarivanja misije centra, to je približavanje nauke građanima Srbije.
Agilnost gradskih vlasti u građenju infrastrukturnih i projekata od javnog značaja u Beogradu poslednjih nekoliko godina i zalaganje podpredsednika vlade, ministra Božidara Đelića oko organizacije konkursa i realizacije finansiranja ovog projekta daju nam za pravo da očekujemo da će u toku narednih meseci rad na projektu biti sve intenzivniji i da neće proći mnogo vremena da bismo u novobeogradskom bloku 39 ugledali obrise zgrade koja će biti simbol savremene i ka budućnosti okrenute Srbije.